In this lecture, we're going to cover what are the sources of climate science and climate data. And where I work at the World Meteorological Organization, there is nothing that people are more passionate about than data. But for a lot of people, this may be a bit of a dry topic. So I'm going to do my best to try to inform you about not only where data comes from, but why it is so important, and therefore hopefully you'll get at least a little bit of it excited about it too. In order to establish the degree to which climate change is occurring, or even whether climate change is occurring, we have to have long time series of data. And that means taking consistent measurements over decades, 50 years, even hundreds of years, in order to be able to get that long time series that we need. So one of the standard reference periods is pre-industrial levels, which is about 1850 to 1870. And fortunately, that is the period during which the observational record really started to get put together. So we had weather stations, we had ships taking observations, and we have continued to add to that, of course, with many new technologies over time, more weather stations, satellites, airplanes, and other types of sensors. But all of those observations would be useless unless they are all combined and compiled together and then synthesized into data sets that we can use to track the behavior of these climate change indicators. So the World Meteorological Organization was in fact established to do that for weather forecasting, and those same structures are now being used for climate data. So we have a network of national meteorological and hydrological services, which there is one in each country. It's part of the government. Then we have regional climate centers, and globally we have a dozen centers which synthesize all of that information and put it all in one place where it can be accessed and analyzed and used. There are also collaborating centers that do specialized work on tree rings or on ice and snow that complement this formal observing network. So the World Meteorological Organization, and particularly the National Meteorological and Hydrological Services, are one of the most important parts of this network. These NMHSs every day, every hour, run a set of observing systems that give you data on these key variables: temperature, precipitation, snowfall, and sunshine, and others. So it is very important that these national meteorological services are not only in place, but they continue to be maintained and supported, because they are the source of the information that lets us know how much the climate has changed over the last 100 years. So we not only use that data to track the behavior of the climate itself, but also to generate the scenarios of future climate that tell us what the climate might do in the future under a variety of different emission scenarios of greenhouse gases. The challenge is that as much data as we have, there is never enough, and there are parts of the world that are very poorly covered by these observing networks. So there is too much scarcity in some of the key variables. And one of the most important variables, which is greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere, is only measured on a global scale. The World Meteorological Organization and other partners now are working to put in place a global greenhouse gas information system that will give very precise observations on what the concentrations are of the different greenhouse gases, and as importantly, where those emissions are coming from.